The Pan American Route is a network of roads that start in Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, and from there travel south through both North America and South America until its ending point in Ushuaia, Argentina. It's known as the longest road in the world because it connects two continents north to south. The Pan American Highway is approximately 15,000 miles long and passes through 14 countries along the way. In North America, the Pan American Highway passes through U.S., Canada, Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. Although the actual Pan American route mapped out is around 15,000 miles long, nobody does the exact route without venturing into many detours and side roads. On average, most people end up driving around 30,000 miles during their Pan American road trip. In 1889, at the First International Conference of American States, the USA proposed closer links to its neighbors via a continent-spanning railroad. The idea never amounted to much, but years later, at the Fifth International Conference held in Chile in 1923, the Pan American Highway was proposed. This time the idea received a more enthusiastic response from the participating nations, though it wasn't until the sixth such conference, in Cuba in 1928, that the proposal was approved. The suggestion was to have the highway start in Mexico and run south to Buenos Aires, and it was a financial support from the United States that was key to its development, even though the U.S. didn't have an official part of the pot running through it. The original Pan American Highway begins in Laredo, Mexico, just across the border from San Antonio in Texas, and continues to Mexico City. A separate route runs down Mexico's western coastline before joining up with the original road in Mexico City. From Mexico, the pot passes through every Central American capital, except Honduras to Tegucigalpa, though it passes just 60 miles south of it before it hits the only section that can't be traveled by car, the Darien Gap, an area of mountains and jungle about 50 miles long, lying between Panama and Colombia. According to Guinness World Records, the Pan American Highway is the world's longest motorable road. However, it is not readily possible to drive all the way since the route is interrupted by the 100-mile-wide Darien Gap between Central and South America. The highway consists of both official and unofficial elements. The official section, which is referred to in Spanish variously as the Autopista Panamericana, runs from Nuevo Laredo, Mexico on the U.S. border to Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina. However, as shown on the map, there are extensive unofficial sections to both the north and south of this. One of the most challenging sections of the route lies in Costa Rica, where it rises to 10,942 feet at the ominously named summit of Death's Cerro de la Muerte. This summit marks the highest elevation on the Pan American Highway in Central America. Indeed, following the completion of the Christ the Redeemer Tunnel between Chile and Argentina, it may well be the highest elevation along the entire route. Driving on the Pan American Highway is relatively easy, and the best way is to avoid El Salvador if possible. The biggest headaches or hassles will be at the borders and figure anywhere from average of 2 or 3 hours to a full day getting through immigration and customs. There are two borders that are the worst of the worst, and that is Honduras and leaving El Salvador and going into Honduras. Expect a full day at these borders. One of the sections of an extended road also appears in the statistics as the most dangerous one. It is about the Pan American Highway, which passes through the territory of Costa Rica. Roads in the mountains tend to be extremely narrow. Large stones can be seen crumbling with the unfenced road slopes while driving. Frequent floods and landslides lead to the complete destruction of the road. The highway then rolls through the jungles, mountains and deserts of South America's Pacific coast. It passes through Ecuador, Peru, and Chile before turning east into Argentina. Once in Buenos Aires, the route unofficially continues south toward Argentina's end. There it once again reaches an obstruction, the Magellan Strait, over which a ferry must be taken to the archipelago of Tierra del Fuego. The second split takes motorists by boat across to Uruguay and continues up along Brazil's coast, passing through cities like Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro along Brazilian Highway 116. The roughly 19,000 miles of the Pan American Highway represent the most extensive highway system on Earth, passing through every kind of terrain and a variety of cultures. Wedged between the Pacific Ocean and the Andes Mountains, the country of Peru reveals magnificent contrasts. Here, The terrain goes from the desert to the verdant plains, passing over high mountain passes between. Sometimes, you get the impression of crossing the Great Sahara Desert, but just a few hours later, you find yourself at more than 13,000-foot elevation, at the edge of impressive cliffs. The trucks that haul here in Peru offer the same diversity, and within just a few miles of driving, you can see as many antique relics as newer models. Falling cargo volumes and high operating costs have left 44.8% of Brazil's truckers in debt as they deal with falling cargo flows. That figure rises to 52% for independent, self-employed truck drivers, but only 28.2% of drivers working for company fleets said are in debt. The average debt for independent truck drivers was 31,400 reais, and those working for fleets owed 14,200 reais on average, according to the survey. There are currently more than 1 million truck drivers in Brazil, out of a total population of 209 million, with many of them working in the informal economy. Over the past decade, consolidation and containerization are both in Latin America and worldwide trends in the shipping industry. In Latin America, the number of shipping companies decreased by 27% over the past 20 years, lowering competition across the region. The standardized use of containers is also pushing Latin America's governments to modernize and upgrade the infrastructure at ports and warehouses. However, in many Latin American countries, this modernization is not keeping up with global developments in the shipping industry. New standards in Latin America means that many older trucks will need to be replaced in the coming years. The movement of goods is booming in Latin America and it is resulting in a significant rise in the number of commercial vehicles being sold in the region. According to consultancy firm Frost & Sullivan, economic growth is driving demand, with annual sales of commercial vehicles expected to top 200,000 units by 2023. An increase in the demand for greater transparency, speed and truck capacity optimization is behind the rise in freight brokerages in emerging markets. The firm cited the rise of opportunities in the LatAm logistics industry due to the technological disruptions leading to increased sales. Policies and new regulations related to commercial vehicles are expected to complement the new business models. Original equipment manufacturers (OEMs) are adapting to the new regulations. Truck driving is a popular occupation, and the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says there's a strong outlook for jobs. Though trucking jobs vary, they often are described as either short-haul or long-haul. These terms don't have strict definitions, but short-haul trucking often involves driving within a 150-mile radius. Long-haul drivers usually have a driving radius of 250 miles or more. Going longer distances means long-haul truckers spend more time away from home. Some work throughout the week and come home on weekends, but many others are on the road for weeks or even months at a time. Long-haul drivers make a lot of personal sacrifices since they have less time with family and friends and may miss a lot of special occasions. By contrast, most short-haul truckers come home to their families every night. Many economists look to trucking as a key bellwether of the United States' overall economic health. When more trucks are moving and freight rates are rising, that means consumers are spending more, and retailers and manufacturers are adding to their inventories. It's no coincidence that, at a time when consumer confidence and overall employment are at the highest levels in nearly 17 years, the trucking industry is also seeing growth in shipping demand. Owning and operating a single truck for a small fleet remains the most frequent route to business ownership. In fact, trucking is an industry made up of small businesses, with 91% of motor carriers operating 6 or fewer trucks. Over 97% of trucking companies today have fewer than 20 power units. According to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration (FMCSA), there were 493,730 trucking companies operating in the United States in 2016. That number is down slightly from a few years ago, but the fact remains, many of America's small business owners are truckers. Truck drivers come in all sorts. Trucks, too, can be divided into different types and classes. If you want to be a commercial truck driver, it helps to know the different types of trucks you may be asked to drive. All of them require a commercial driver's license to operate, and they're divided into 3 more general categories: light duty, medium duty, and heavy duty. Commercial motor vehicles or trucks that operate on U.S. highways can be classified based on their gross vehicle weight rating (GVWR). The heavy-duty trucks category includes commercial truck classes 7 and 8. Drivers of vehicles in these classes are required to have a Class B commercial driving license (CDL) to operate the vehicle. Class 7. This class of truck has a GVLWR of 26,001 to 33,000 pounds. Class 8. This class of truck has a GVLWR of greater than 33,001 pounds and includes all tractor trailers. A tractor trailer is a truck consisting of a tractor attached to a semi-trailer or trailer, used for transporting loads. The definition of semi-trailer is a freight trailer that when attached is supported at its forward end by the fifth wheel device of the truck tractor, or a trucking rib made up of a tractor and a semi-trailer. Air brakes are used in trucks, buses, trailers and semi-trailers. This is the preferred type of braking system for these vehicles for several reasons. First, the use of air allows multiple vehicle units to be coupled so that all units have braking capability and so that all of those units' brakes may be controlled from the cab. Coupling would be infeasible if a liquid were used as the mode of transmission of force, as it is in hydraulic brakes. In addition, the use of an air brake system allows for the incorporation of an emergency braking system that utilizes parts of the service brake and parking brake systems. The trailer has a reservoir installed. This tank provides a volume of air near the trailer chambers for normal or emergency braking. The tank is equipped with a drain cock. A relay emergency valve is mounted on the trailer reservoir. This valve can also be mounted directly on the trailer frame near the brake chambers. Since a main advantage of air brakes systems is their ability to use air to operate, the compressor is constantly kicking on and kicking off to refill the reservoirs with pressurized air. When the compressor builds too much air, the valves open, producing that loud hiss. Because tractors and trailers need to be disconnected and reconnected from time to time, the airlines are equipped with quick coupling devices called glad hands. Each coupler resembles a human hand about to make a handshake. Glad hands are often color-coded. A blue line or blue coloring indicates the control line, and red used to indicate the supply line.